What's up, y'all? I'm Jordy, and today I want to talk about Legend ZA because I am incredibly hyped for this game with all of the new megas they've revealed, and I want to talk about it. It's my channel, I get to do what I want. Now, in particular, I want to talk about what abilities each of these new mega evolutions are going to have. Now, I know in Legend ZA it looks like abilities aren't going to be a thing, but when that game drops, there's a good chance we're going to be able to data mine what the abilities are, much like we did for Legends Arceus. And so, with Champions coming out hopefully soon, we'll be able to use these Pokemon in VGC, and I want to know what they're going to do, so we're going to go through it. I'm going to go through what everyone seems to think the abilities are, because everybody thinks they know, what I think it's actually going to be for each of these, see if I can get any of them right. And for each one of these, there is a chance that there's going to be a completely new ability that we have never seen before. So I'm going to take a guess at what those could be. Most Mega Evolutions don't have anything brand new as their ability, but some do, and it's pretty big if you've seen Kangaskhan, for example. So let's get right into it. First up is Mega Dragonite. Mega Dragonite has to have a crazy base stat total of 700, so this thing might be insane, as long as it has something it can do that regular Dragonite doesn't do better. Let's take a quick look at what they say on the site. It soars around using the large wings on its head. I want to specifically call out that Dragonite can now fly faster and farther than before. And also, its kind-hearted nature is powered up. Ending a Pokemon match quickly is an act of kindness toward its opponent. At the same time, if it senses someone in trouble, it has the kindness to instantly rush to their aid, even if it's in the middle of an intense battle. So what I hear a lot of is people want to give this Aerolate. I know it makes sense, flying type extreme speed would be kind of fun and kind of insane, but that's the ability of Mega Salamence. I don't know if they're going to step on its toes that much. Another pseudo with the same typing, with the same ability, doesn't seem very likely to me. Though I've also seen some people say that it might get Gale Wings, and I think that's really funny, especially because it doesn't get much flying moves. But I personally think they're going to lean into this kind-hearted nature thing and give it Friend Guard. Friend Guard will protect its partner from damage, and it'll be a bit unique. Pretty much every Friend Guard user before had some sort of redirection, whereas Dragonite doesn't, so it would play much differently being a more offensive Friend Guard user, though it does get some support moves like Tailwind. And then if they're going to go even crazier with it, specifically I'm thinking because it's using Draco Meteor in all of these trailers, there's going to be something for that. Not Gale Wings example, but Dragon Wings. That's not what they're going to call it, but hear me out. An ability where when you're at full health, just like Gale Wings, a +1 priority to all of your Dragon type moves. This would in a way nerf Dragonite in that it's not going to make use of its multi-scale because you're going to want to stay at full health when you Mega Evolve, but also it takes into account that it wants to end battles quickly, and coming out, hopefully getting a bunch of special attack boosts on Mega Evolution, and just launching a priority Draco Meteor right out the gate, that's a good way to end a battle quickly. I don't think that's going to happen, but if it does, that would be really sick. Next up is Mega Victreebel, and this guy, look how cute he is! How could anyone not love this design? He's nearly overflowing with acid. Look at that face! And this sweet-smelling acid can melt steel. Now, what I'm hearing a lot of from everyone is that this means corrosion. The fact that its acid can melt steel means it's going to get corrosion. Corrosion's the ability that lets you poison types and steel types. But everyone's been saying this needs a buff, and the poison type moves, like Sludge Bomb, need to be changed such that corrosion makes them actually hit steel types. Maybe super effectively, maybe neutrally. I've seen both takes. I don't think this is particularly likely. We also have Dragalge, which in its Pokedex entries mentions that it has poison that can melt steel, and we don't see corrosion on that. We see Poison Point, Poison Touch, and Adaptability. I think this is more likely to get something associated with the smell of it. It could get super sweet syrup, but I feel like that would need to be changed to another name because this isn't syrup, this is acid. But what it could also get is Aroma Veil, another scent-based ability. This one protects itself and its partner from Taunt and Encore and Torment, things like that, the most important one being Taunt. And I think this could work especially if it's so fat because it's actually getting slower. If this thing becomes a powerful Trick Room sweeper, having this ability next to something that can set Trick Room while blocking it from being taunted could help you get that up and start your sweep. Now, if it's going to get a brand new ability, yeah, buffed Corrosion is a cool idea, but I've got another idea. What if this thing got a reskinned Shadow Tag with its smell trapping in the opponents so that you can just do whatever you want to them? A powerful mon with Shadow Tag would be pretty crazy. We have Gothitelle right now and Mega Gengar, so we have a couple options. This one would be quite different than either of those in how it operates though. I think it could be good for Perish Trap. I think it could be good for a lot of different things. Just forcing your opponent to be unable to switch and then hitting them is pretty powerful. And this thing gets sleep powder, so if you put something to sleep and it can't leave, you might have shut them down. Next up, we've got Mega Hawlucha. This thing looks sick. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. I love Mega Hawlucha. Specifically, this thing clinches victory using its powerful Flying Press. Flying Press is a move that doesn't get much use. It treats itself as both a fighting and a flying move at the same time, but it doesn't pick the better of the two. It just is both. So you actually end up with worse coverage across the board than if you just had a fighting move and a flying move. Another thing about this is that it gets bulkier, so it has more attack and more defense, definitely, and that's led a lot of people to thinking this might have the ability Stamina. Stamina, every time you take a hit, you get a defense boost, and Hawlucha does learn Body Press, so after a while, this thing could pop off, especially when it has access to Roost, so it can heal up, you can make it super bulky, you can get all your boosts, and then you can start sweeping. Hopefully it also gets Tailwind back. I don't know if they're going to go that route, that's pretty reasonable, but I'd rather make Flying Press more viable. And one of the most viable abilities for that would probably be Scrappy. With Scrappy, you don't need to worry about using Body Press to avoid Intimidates, because you'll be immune to Intimidates. And the one downside, one of the biggest downsides at least, of Flying Press is you can't hit Ghosts with it. If you had Scrappy, an Intimidate immunity, plus being able to hit Ghosts with your Flying Press, that's pretty neat. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure it would still just use Close Combat and Brave Bird, but I can dream, right? And then finally, maybe this thing can get a signature ability, and if so, it's gotta make Flying Press good. And my way to do that is the ability is literally just make Flying Press good. It would change your move Flying Press when you have this ability to be either a fighting move or a flying move, depending on which would be more effective into the target. So you don't even need to make reads. You can just click the button, and if they swap in something that resists fighting, you use a flying move, or vice versa. If it's a ghost, you're always going to hit them with the flying move, and it just works. Hawlucha deserves it. This is the coolest Mega. Just give it to him, please. Next up is our friend Mega Malamar. Malamar's an interesting case because it sure seems to have the vibes of a special attacker, but regular Malamar is actually more of a physical attacker. What it does is it uses the contrary ability, so if it gets intimidated, it gets an attack boost, and it can spam the move Superpower to get an attack and defense boost. I don't know how that's going to carry over into this. It might be as simple as they just keep contrary on it, and it is a physical attacker, and you just didn't expect that. And I have seen some people suggest that maybe it keeps contrary. I've also seen some people suggest that it's going to get no guard, because basically Malamar's whole thing is hypnosis. It hypnotizes people, so people want it to be able to spam hypnosis. I don't think hypnosis no guard is what they're going to do there, but that would be a pretty sick niche if it was given to it. And it kind of needs it. Malamar's base stats and typing is not amazing. I personally am more interested in its signature move Topsy-Turvy becoming usable. And for that reason, I think Mega Malamar might have the ability Prankster. Prankster giving +1 priority to all of your status moves, so it can work with Hypnosis if you want to do that. A +1 priority 60 accuracy sleep could bail you out in a lot of situations, and there's other ways to take advantage of increasing accuracy. But mostly I want it for Topsy-Turvy. Priority Topsy-Turvy, if the opponent has some boosts, you flip them, you make them negative, you make Dondozo's day just absolutely brutal. I love it, I want to see it, make it happen. Now finally, if it has a signature ability, I do think it might have something to do with Hypnosis. but I don't think it's going to be no guard. That seems a little much. I think because it's a dark type, maybe it gets something akin to the Ruinous Legends abilities. So I'm going to call this ability Squid of Ruin. And what it does is it lowers the evasiveness of all of the opponent's Pokemon and your partner, just like a Ruin ability, but it doesn't affect our friend Malamar. Malamar's okay. And with this, they could fine-tune the number that the accuracy is boosted on all of these targets to make Hypnosis as accurate or as inaccurate as they want. Boost accuracy by like 33% and you've got 80 accuracy Hypnosises. Boost it as much as Gravity does, you've got perfect accuracy Hypnosises. You could maybe go to like 50% for 90 accuracy Hypnosis. They can fine-tune it to whatever is the best, and also your partner can take advantage of this. You could have a partner with like Rock Slide, Heat Wave. You know, Chi-Yu likes missing moves, so it might appreciate that sort of thing. I don't know if that's very likely, but it would be pretty sick. Next up, Mega Greninja, who is upside down for some reason. Mega Greninja, I've heard people talking about maybe this thing gets adaptability, which would be pretty sick. Boosting the power of its water and its dark moves, including its signature move Water Shuriken, would be a pretty cool ability on it. They could make this thing pretty strong too. It's got great speed, but it's a bit of a mixed attacker, so if they want to make it crazy strong, they could dump all into one or the other. Don't know if they're really going to do that. Another take I've seen is that it's just going to gain the ability Battle Bond. Battle Bond used to turn Greninja into Ash Greninja, but it's recently been updated such that when you take a KO with Greninja with Battle Bond, you actually get a +1 to your attack, special attack, and speed. So it's like Moxie, but even more boosted than Moxie. I don't think this is particularly likely. I think they want us to forget about Battle Bond altogether, especially because Battle Bond Greninja, you can get it in Scarlet and Violet, but you can't use it on Ranked, even though Ash Greninja no longer exists. So I don't know why they changed the ability. Personally, I want to see abilities that can encourage Pokemon to use their signature moves. So I would give Greninja Skill Link. Skill Link would guarantee that Water Shuriken always hits 5 times, which comes out to a priority move of 75 base power. And if they boost its special attack, and you can put Rain on top of that, that thing could hit, and it could hit fast. They particularly talk about how Greninja moves so swiftly that it's able to strike first, and if you're spamming Water Shuriken, that is exactly what's happening. Now, I don't have a signature ability to give Greninja. Greninja's already gotten 2 signature abilities. It was the first thing to get Protean, and it had Battle Bond. It doesn't need another one. So instead of a signature ability, I want to give it a move. I think our friend Malamar, the other Gen 6 Pokemon, who's a Dark type, who Mega Evolves, who flips upside down, I think it can share Topsy-Turvy. I think that would be funny. I don't think it would get much use. But keep in mind, Greninja is faster than a +2 Dondozo, and so it could do that just as well as Prankster, and I think that'd be really funny. Now we've got Mega Chesnaught. Mega Chesnaught, after the trailer, has been a lot of people's favorite new Mega, and I see why. This thing looks sick. A hardened outer shell greatly bolsters its defense. A lot of people latching onto that, saying that might be shell armor, or maybe battle armor. I personally think battle armor has a little bit of a better flavor with this. What both of those abilities do is they prevent you from getting hit by critical hits. So that means Chesnaught can freely go for Iron Defense Body Press strats and not worry about getting broken through. It doesn't feel that correct to me, just because the most common crit moves are going to be the Urshifus, and Chesnaught already resists both of those, making it a pretty reasonable Iron Defense Body Press user on its own. So I think what's most likely is it actually keeps the ability Bulletproof. Bulletproof is actually a pretty neat ability, being able to block ball and bomb moves, and if you can wall on the special side by being immune to Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb as well, which you would otherwise be weak to, and then you set up your defenses, this thing's definitely going to have good stats in both of its defenses. I just think that's what they're going to go with. But that's not cool, so let's give it a signature ability. I personally think if this thing gets a signature ability, it'll have to do with armor, and it'll be a reskinned version of Armor Tail. Armor Tail blocks priority moves from the opponent, And it's been reskinned several times already. We had Queenly Majesty, we had Dazzling, we had Armor Tail, all of those being signature. So this one would be its own signature. This would be Armor Shell, maybe, is what we'll call it. I think it would be pretty cool. It would be great for supporting your team. Honestly, I think Bulletproof is way more likely than this thing getting signature ability. But if it does get one, that's what I'm going to call it. Mega Delphox. Mega Delphox is sick. Look at that thing flying around on a lit broom. Oh, love this mon. Now, it mesmerizes its opponents using its psychic powers, and after confusing opponents, it incinerates them with scorching flames. I particularly want to call out that it forms a huge fireball that engulfs and burns its targets. Now, it looks like they're trying to lean into the psychic powers of this mon, which I think is pretty cool. So a lot of people have been saying maybe it gets Psychic Surge. And I think that would be kind of busted. This thing with Psychic Surge, you got fire coverage, you learn Expanding Force, you're going to go crazy. For a similar reason to that, I don't think this is going to be getting Levitate. I've seen a few people say it. It does look like it's floating, but a lot of Pokemon float and don't get Levitate. Because while you would get an immunity to one of your weaknesses, you're no longer able to be touching the ground, so you're not going to get the benefit from Expanding Force, which is currently its most powerful niche. I personally think we're going to be disappointed by this thing's ability. My call for it is going to be Magic Bounce. Magic Bounce will reflect any status moves coming at you. It's not that amazing of an ability, but status moves coming into this will happen occasionally. You have things like Trick Room on Delphox. You might have Will-O-Wisp, so you can block taunts from the opponent. But also you can block Thunder Wave, you can block Spore, importantly, since both of your stabs blow up Amoonguss. Coming in and Mega Evolving in front of Amoonguss makes you feel pretty safe. Now, if it's going to have a signature ability, I want to make use of its signature move with that signature ability. And its signature move is Mystical Fire. Mystical Fire is 75 power fire move, always lowers the opponent's special attack. It's not that great of a move, and there's not much existing abilities that would take advantage of that very well. This is a very offensive mon. But my idea for this, a callback to the huge fireball that engulfs and burns its targets, is give Delphox a signature ability that burns any opponents that you get a side effect against. So this won't be affecting your Heat Wave, since the 10% burn is already going to be a burn. But if you use Psychic and get the 10% special defense drop, you're going to get a burn on top of that. And most importantly, Mystical Fire will guarantee a special attack drop and burn the opponent. And if this seems OP to you, it seems a little OP to me, but you got to remember, it's not a very powerful move. Covert Cloak will block this effect. Clear Amulet would mean you don't get the special attack drop, so that would also block this effect, as well as Clear Body and any fire type. This thing still can't handle an Incineroar, so it's not busted, it's very counterable. I think it's a pretty reasonable ability. Let me know what you think about that. Is that busted, or is that pretty cool? And finally, we got 2 Mega RaiXus coming in the DLC. These ones I would be surprised if we're able to data mine when the game comes out, but I want to talk about them anyway. First up, Mega RaiXu X. Mega RaiXu X, I want to say, first of all, is a pure electric type. I've seen a lot of people hoping it's an electric fighting type, but right here, type electric, height 3'11", he's a little guy, and he's not a fighting type. Now, it says he floats using electromagnetism and concentrates electricity into its fists. I see why that's why people think it's a fighting type. I also see why people think it might get Levitate. Levitate would be a pretty interesting ability on Mega RaiXu X. You would have no weaknesses on a Mega Pokemon. That's a pretty cool idea. I don't know if they're 100% going to go with that, but I don't hate that. Personally, I think this guy's got Moxie, and therefore I think its ability is going to be Moxie. Clearly they're going for Mega RaiXu X, along with Charizard X and Mewtwo X, being physical attackers. So if this thing could come in, be fast, be strong, take a quick KO, get another boost, snowball from there. I don't know if that would make this thing amazing. It really depends on its stat distribution. Its attack is only 90, so it would need quite a buff to be able to do that, but I think it would be pretty solid. Now, if this thing gets a signature ability, I think it's going to take full advantage of its signature move, Volt Tackle. Volt Tackle is a 120 power physical electric move that does recoil. Now you could say maybe give it Rock Head to avoid the recoil, or maybe give it Reckless to power up the moves that have recoil. I say why not give it Wreck Head? That's going to be Mega Raichu X's signature ability. It both prevents any recoil from recoil moves and boosts the power by probably about 20 to 30%. I think that would be super sick. It would encourage you to spam its signature move, and that's what I want to see. I want to see Mega Raichu X using Volt Tackle all the time. Just click the Volt Tackle button. I think that'd be sick. And finally, Mega Raichu Y, also a pure electric type, clearly a special attacker. It strikes swiftly and bathes foes in electric power. Now, I haven't seen as many takes about Mega Raichu Y. It seems Mega Raichu X is much more interesting to people. But what I have seen is that it's probably going to keep Lightning Rod. Honestly, Lightning Rod on a special attacking Mega is not bad. Redirecting electric moves, being powerful, powering yourself up, but it's also your base ability. I don't think that's as cool. I think it needs to change, and I think what it's going to do is gain Electric Surge. Electric Surge, bathing its foes in electric power, makes perfect sense. Raichu has access to Rising Voltage and Volt Switch. This thing could be a mini Miraidon nuke type Pokemon. And being countered by the other Raichus, if you just keep their Lightning Rod ability in base form, I think would be pretty funny. But Raichu does get some coverage. It learns Surf, it learns Grass Knot. I think it'll be alright. And finally, I don't think it's very likely, but if Mega Raichu Y gets a signature ability, I want to give it a buffed version of Electromorphosis. Currently, Electromorphosis, Belly Bolt's ability, will double the power of electric moves after it takes a hit. I say this Raichu, which eschews tactical maneuvers in favor of a straightforward approach to battling, I think it should be able to have this ability from the start activated. Whenever Mega Raichu Y hits the field, or Mega Evolves on the field, it will gain an Electromorphosis that doubles the power of its electric moves and wears off when it uses an electric move. So you bring this thing in, you blast with a Volt Switch or a Thunderbolt, you get out and you come back and try it again. And maybe it can be triggered by being hit, but I'm not expecting Mega Raichu Y to be able to take hits. So we'll see how that goes. And that is my take on all of the new Megas coming in Legends ZA that we have already seen. There's going to be plenty more, I'm sure, but let me know in the comments, which one do you think is the best of the ones that have been revealed so far, purely based on design. Personally, I'm kind of thinking Hawlucha is going to win that. But also, let me know in the comments below, are any of these way off? If I got something wrong, tell me. But anyways, hope you enjoyed. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing more ZA content, hopefully. That game's coming out soon. But anyways, I'm Jordy, and alright, peace.